Alvarez and Marcel has been producing insight on the European retail and consumer sector for 5 years now. This year, our direction for the research has changed. We were really interested in wake of the pandemic, and then whilst we're starting to experience a real cost of living crisis, if the values that consumers put on various aspects of the shopping journey and their attraction to brands or retailers would change. I think the most interesting insight from this research that we have discovered is actually that consumers will not compromise on quality. Price is still the most important factor in shopping, which is in line with the cost of living crisis, but they won't compromise on quality. And also, they are increasingly requiring a retailer or consumer brand to have a high standard for ethical behavior. The reason that this is so interesting is that we were expecting certain trade-offs would happen, and certainly they have happened. Convenience is becoming a little bit less important in that hierarchy of values. But for me, the most interesting thing is that, you've got three major components: price, quality, and sustainability. The consumer does not want to compromise on any of those factors, which means that there's a big task for retail and consumer business boardrooms to figure out how they can deliver on these three key value attributes in order to succeed within the market to come. Our research shows that purchasing behavior is driven by continuous trade-offs between five key factors. These are price, quality, convenience, experience, and sustainability. The cost of living crisis is upending the trade-offs that people are prepared to make between these factors. Consumers want lower prices, and in return, they are prepared to compromise on convenience and experience, but they are not willing to compromise on quality and a brand's ethical credentials. Retailers and other consumer businesses need to rapidly adapt to these new trade-offs between consumer values. Sustainability is gaining traction as consumers, corporates, and governments alike focus on reducing their carbon footprints. This is now reflected in consumer values and purchasing decisions. Despite cost of living concerns, consumers are less willing to compromise when it comes to ethical credentials, from sustainability and fair wages for employees to inclusion and diversity. In fact, nearly half of the consumers we surveyed said they would be willing to pay more for sustainable products, and 1 in 10 said that they would pay significantly more. What we are seeing is that shoppers aren't afraid to call out brands and vote with their wallets for businesses and products that align with their values. Now that the cost of living crisis has given way to a more cost-conscious consumer, it is more important than ever that businesses anchor their proposition around value for money. A key strategy for retailers and brands will include investment in price to ensure they're being as competitive as possible. Behind the scenes, businesses should review their operating models to seek out cost savings. Businesses with adaptable business models and an understanding of how consumer values are formed and changing and how they evolve will be able to ride the waves of disruption and may even benefit from taking the time to reevaluate their customer proposition. In our previous report, we explored how the pandemic has blurred the lines between physical and digital channels. Consumers are increasingly expecting a seamless journey between the two worlds. When shopping online, they're looking for quick delivery and easy returns, whilst in store, they value integrated digital technology and frictionless payments. Consumer-facing companies cannot ignore this structural shift if they are to remain relevant. But more than that, digital should be embraced as a way for businesses to become more agile. While it may not be right for your brand to be in the metaverse per se, it's certainly time to start thinking about how you can optimize supply chains and the customer journey from a digital perspective.